What's going on, everybody? So, look, man, I'm gonna play a lot of different clips that I came across, and I don't know, man. Something about LeBron James has never really sat right in my spirit. It's like with different people you've seen me talk about through the years, where you just kind of feel like something is off. Now, there's a lot of evidence to back up what I'm feeling in my spirit, but with watching what's going on with Stephen A. Smith and how that beef is kind of increasing, I don't know, man. I just feel like something real serious, is gonna pop off and come out. And I think money has a lot to do with it. All right. And so I'm gonna just give you some stats real quick before we get to this video. But this is just something I was looking up because I'm like, man, it's just the Diddy parties, the allegations with the Balco stuff that the media never seems to cover. Of course, some of his political stands I don't agree with, but it just I don't know. When I look at him, it just something is inauthentic, right? And we're gonna get to that in a minute. First, let's talk about this. In 1970, all right, 1970-71 season, the NBA reported a total revenue of 32.3 million, which is roughly equivalent to 244 million in today's dollars. In 1980, the NBA was estimated to be worth around 400 million for its 23 teams, a figure that has skyrocketed from 1990 to 2000. The NBA's valuation saw significant growth, with the league's 23 teams worth 400 million in 1984, and the league's 30 teams are worth 138 billion today. All right. Now, some of us are old enough where, you saw a little 80s basketball, you saw a little 90s basketball. Jordan came in and the league went from 32 million to 400 million. It rose in popularity. If you want to put those numbers in 1980 today, that would be from 244 million to 1.5 billion. Average NBA franchise value is 46 no 4 billion. Most valuable team Golden State Warriors 9 billion. Second most valuable New York Knicks 7.5 billion. Third most valuable Los Angeles Lakers 7 billion. Other notables, Chicago Bulls at 5.8 billion, Houston Rockets 5.7 billion, etc. All right. So that is a lot of money. And recently there's been a lot of talks about a decrease in viewership. The NBA is unwatchable, all of the threes. And you look at the numbers just over the 2000s, and it's just going down, right? The highest rated, most watched NBA Finals series was in 1998, Chicago Bulls, Utah Jazz, averaging 18.7 rating and 29 million viewers on NBC. All right. So 29 million viewers, the 1998 NBA Finals, Bulls versus Jazz. Other notable final series: 1993 Finals, Bulls versus Suns, 32 million. Then, of course, the 2016 Cavs Warriors, game 7 was 31 million. That was pretty big. 1997 Bulls versus Jazz, 31 million viewers. All right. So the NBA was growing. It was, just taking off. And there's been a lot of just like, man, the NBA is unwatchable. I don't want to watch it. And so, this Luca trade that happened recently, it was like, that is just strange. And for them to like call the Lakers and trade him to the Lakers of all places with LeBron, it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of suspicious, right? And so is that to keep the ratings up? Is that to keep the money up? Like, hey, we got investors, it's going down. Like that Luca trade made 0 sense. They had just went to the NBA finals. All right. The bottom line is the NBA is not a better place than when Jordan left it, and the numbers prove that. I said all of that to say I think that the money could be a huge factor because the money is just ridiculous nowadays, what the players are making, what the teams are worth, where they're valued at. It's grown. And I think, the love of money is the root of all evil. So if you think that money maybe has nothing to do with why certain stories like the steroid stuff and other things that people talk about are not getting covered, if there's a certain perspective, I think it is possible. Now, as far as, LeBron, he just comes across as just kind of fake, to me, right? Like It reminds me of this video I saw of Chris Paul. He was like smiling in Steve Kerr's face, and he turned his back, and then he was like kind of mocking him behind his back. And I think that LeBron is kind of obsessed with controlling the narrative. You're going to see that in some of the clips that we played, to the point where it becomes manipulative. And you even got sports people like Nick Wright, who's his biggest fan, is a Clutch Sports agent. So he's part of like one of the companies that LeBron is associated with. So I'm always talking about the false profit media. So it's almost like there's people that are, it's almost like you're paid to kind of force this guy, a little bit, and it's one thing that he's never going to have. And you guys just know my personal bias here. We're going to show it in a minute. Is that when Jordan was playing, it was just like, hey, this man is the greatest of all time. He didn't have to crown himself. It was kind of agreed on. Now, there's a lot of LeBron fans who believe, Jordan is, or who believe LeBron is better than Jordan. But across the board, most people still believe that Jordan is the GOAT. And so, let's just get to the clips first, because I don't want to be just so long-winded. I want to show some things with you guys, and we're going to get in there. Now, we're going to start with some clips, and then we're going to go, through, I'm going to just be real about my personal, bias and all that. And then we're going to go deeper and deeper into like the stuff about lying and some of these accusations. And I just find it strange. Like I said, at the end of the day, let's say this though. We praying for LeBron. We hope his soul, gets saved. Because he's still a soul, just like Diddy, just like anybody else. We want them all to get saved. We want everybody to go to heaven. But I don't want to be too long-winded. Let's play some of these clips.
The Balco story, allegedly. That's the story that we're not addressing. I think it's crazy that if somebody else's name was allegedly in that, everybody would be covering it. I think it's really, really a disservice to sports that we don't look.
So we'll get to that in a minute, but there's been a lot of allegations. There was even an investigation with one of his trainers and some PEDs or something being shipped to his house in his wife's name. And it's like the media just will not cover it, even though Kevin Garnett and this UFC guy, big personalities, big name people openly accused LeBron. It was like they just ignored it. It reminds me of Biden's laptop. And it's like, yeah, you could say like, oh, that's just crazy or it's just nonsense. But the fact that somebody like Kevin Garnett, who's big in the basketball community, Hall of Fame, said it, and they just kind of brushed under the rug, that was strange. So I agree with Mace.
Into that.
Said that LeBron asked for his brother Markieff to be included in the trade for Luka. How long before the trade happened then do we think LeBron knew about it?
Yeah, this doesn't look good.
I suggest that he be happy with the things that I haven't brought up. I never brought up really and never really discussed why you were not at Kobe Bryant's memorial service. I never really brought up or discussed why you did not attend Dwayne Wade's Hall of Fame induction when that man was directly responsible for you capturing a championship for the first time in your career.
Just show me a couple things we're going to go through. So, he confronted Stephen A. He kind of looks in the camera, though, right there at the end. He looks straight into the camera. And this is what I mean about controlling the narrative and things like that. It almost like this was planned. He could have pulled him in the back or whatever, but it was like he looked directly to the camera when it was done. Let me rewind it just a little bit. We're going to get to it in a minute. And he got the Morris brother right there next to him.
If he disrespected me or did me wrong in any way, he did his job, and I got no problems with it. My issue is with LeBron James. And I just want to say for the record, LeBron James is full of it. And in this particular instance, as it pertains to his son, he is a liar. And he went on national television today and he lied again.
Now, you see Stephan A Smith, he said that. I got the little memes there. The point is, LeBron has never read past the first page of book. So, like, it looks like a photo op, right? So the same way, right, that he approached Stephen A and then he looked directly to the camera, he clearly be doing stuff for the camera. We'll get to that in a little bit. But every picture here, right, first page of the book, I think they're going to question him about The Godfather. There's a whole bunch of videos of him just caught lying, right? And so Stephen A says, hey, look, bro, like, I know you be lying, and I think he said it this morning, and you know that I know that you be lying about stuff, you know? And so
On national television today, and he lied again.
So let's go through my personal bias before we get into the other stuff. I obviously believe that, Jordan is the GOAT.
We're just not a team that, goes out there and looking for flopping opportunities. That's just not us. It's actually never been in any team that I've played on in my 20 years where we've been a flopping team.
This man just,
did he get him? I couldn't see.
It looked like it was more in his stomach.
We talked about leading defense with your face.
The right elbow, yeah.
So I just want to get my personal bias out the way, because people are going to just say, oh, you're hating or whatever, that's how the comments are going to be. But I don't like this. I don't like this flopping stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's a good player. I don't put him past Kobe. I got Jordan #1, then Kobe, then LeBron. So I'm not one of those like delusional haters. Like, he's a good basketball player. But I don't like this kind of basketball. I feel like it's soft. You know what I'm saying? I don't like it when they do it in soccer either, with all the flopping. He's too big for all that flopping. So I grew up watching, look how they was taking Jordan out right there. Look at that. I grew up in a different era watching a different type of basketball. Now, some people will argue, the basketball is better now, but the point is it was really physical. I mean, they were really trying to hurt Jordan. So I don't like the theatrics because, let's be honest, it's a form of manipulation, right? So we're talking about photo ops. We're talking about him approaching Stephan A Smith, with the camera, looking straight into the camera. We're talking about controlling the narrative. We're talking about how they're
right there made me the greatest player of all time.
For so many reasons.
I was a super.
All right, we got to get this. We're talking about the people like Nick Wright who are part of Clutch Sports and the media. So I'm just getting my personal bias out of the way. But look at this. This is what really made
made me the greatest player of all time.
For so many reasons.
I was super ecstatic to win one for Cleveland because of the 52-year drought. Like, I was ecstatic. Like, obviously, I showed that the first wave of emotion was when everyone saw me crying. Like, that was all for 52 years. Everything in sports going on in Cleveland.
So, I mean, you see here, like, from an accolades point, and I know this might be a year too old, but Jordan got more accolades than him and KD together. And it's like, if you are the greatest, when Jordan was the greatest in the 90s, and I'm going to show you why Jordan's personally my favorite. Like I said, I want to get my little bias out the way before we get into the deeper stuff. I can't get jiggy with you calling yourself the GOAT. It's like when they tried to force Kamala Harris on us, or they try to force Biden on us, or they ignore certain things, like, for example, with the laptop, because they're trying so hard. I felt like he was just trying too hard. He's a good player. And it's not bad to say that you got him #2 or #3.
And then after I stopped, I was like, that one right there made you the greatest player of all time. Everybody was just talking how they were the greatest team of all time. Like, they was the greatest team ever assembled. And for us to come back, the way we came back in that fashion, I was like, you did something special. That's like one of the only times in my career I felt like, oh, shit. Like, you did something special. I haven't really had time to really like sit back and think, but that was a moment.
Personally,
Say it with your chest, bro.
I'm gonna take myself against anybody that's ever played this game. But everyone's gonna have their favorite. Everyone's gonna, decide who their favorite is. But I know what I've brought to the table. I know what I bring to the table every single night, and what I can do out on this floor. So. I always feel like I'm the best to ever play this game, but, there's so many other great ones, and I'm happy to just be a part of it.
We always have the barbershop.
Right.
Like, who's this? Who's the
right.
Who's the GOAT? What makes a GOAT? Like,
if we're just talking about from a basketball standpoint.
It's over. Cleveland is a city of champions once again.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Oh, by the way, if they hadn't suspended Draymond Green, they wouldn't have won.
At that moment, I was like, I'm the greatest basketball player people have ever seen in all facets. Like, I could play the 1 through 5. I can guard 1 through 5. Just like literally like did something that's never been done in the history of the sport. I mean, teams that go down 3-1 was 0 for like 32 in finals history. There's nobody ever coming out of that.
and nobody gave us a chance. I just felt like ain't nobody better than me at this. I feel like
who the GOAT is, and where would you put yourself in that conversation?
Almost
there. If I was the GM or whatever the case may be of a franchise that was starting up and I had the #1 pick, I'd take me. You know, I could play 1 through 5. You know, I've led the league in assists. This NBA is a beautiful thing, and it's been some beautiful players to play it, but I can't take nobody over.
I'm not here campaigning for the best.
Now, I just played that so you can see I'm getting my personal bias out of the way. This is why I prefer, not just because Jordan has more accolades, not just because Jordan did more in less time, not just because Jordan did 2 3-peats, quit the game, retired, came back, did another 3-peat, right? Listen to how Jordan talks as compared to how LeBron talks.
Play in the world or in the history. I'm not saying that, you know, because everybody plays differently in different eras. But to say that we won 3 in a row and I was part of that team.
What impact does your statistical place in the NBA have on you?
Well, that never drove me. I mean, the stats only add up when you put forth the effort and you don't worry about it. You know, good things happen to those people that work hard. If I sit here and play for the stats, I would have never retired in '93. Or I still probably be chasing Wilt Chamberlain's all-time, you know, or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar all-time scoring lead. I mean, that doesn't drive.
I feel like that's part of the reason why LeBron is still playing. Now, we're going to get into the PED thing and all that, but because when Jordan was called the GOAT, it was like he didn't have to say it. Everybody just knew it. And LeBron has never had that, right? People put Kobe over him. People put Jordan over him. I remember Shannon Sharp had Kareem, then Jordan, then LeBron for a while, and then something happened. I don't know if Shannon got on the payroll, but I think that's part of the motivation for LeBron going so long because he's chasing Jordan's ghost. You hear MJ, he was like, look, it was never about the stats. It's all about championships. If it was about the stats, I would have never retired. I would have kept chasing Kareem. Obviously, you know, LeBron, I think he's still fighting to prove to himself and everybody else that he's the GOAT. I'm going somewhere with this. Just be patient for those of you, you know, coming in late.
I mean, sure. I mean, it defines to some extent for people who don't know me on, you know, 20 years from now, would never know who Michael Jordan really is. But based on the stats, he must have been pretty decent. You know, those are only ways that I look at stats. Other than that, you know, it's all about winning championships and winning. You know, stats that matter to me is the games that we win and the rings that you collect.
Care about being called the greatest basketball player ever. Does that matter? Do you want that?
I don't want it in a sense because I think it disrespects Wilt Chamberlain, Jerry West, you know, all the guys that prior to me, I never had a chance to play against. You know, what everybody's saying I am, I never had the chance to compete against other legends that was prior to me.
Let's be real. I'm going to be unpolitically correct here. You know, LeBron came out, oh, Giannis would score 250 points in the 70s and all that kind of stuff. If you look at LeBron's political views and some of the things that he says, a lot of times he's tweeting some things that are just, you know, ignorant. He doesn't have all the facts, or he's saying the right thing to say. I do believe he feels some type of way, you know, towards white people. And there's been a couple of times where he has disrespected the past. And you see that Jordan doesn't do that. Yes. Are they more athletic today? Yes. Are they faster today? Yes. But with all of the stuff that they have, people like Jordan, people like, you know, some of the, I'm trying to think, I didn't want to say Kobe and Tim Duncan, but even before the Dr. J's, right, the Magic Johnsons, if you brought them today, they were good back then. They would probably just be better now. And with the way that the league has become so soft and more about, you know, scoring the ball and defenses went away, it was a lot harder to score back in the day. You know, we showed that. So I don't think it's disrespectful to say that some of the guys from the old school would be better and maybe even score more points because it was harder to score back then. You know what I'm saying? But I do think it's just disrespectful how some of these young guys just, oh, they were trash, they were plumbers, they were this, they were that, you know. So you see the difference between the way that Jordan talks and LeBron talks. LeBron is kind of full of himself, really arrogant. Jordan's trying to keep it humble, you know what I'm saying? Let other people call him the GOAT. He's not trying to crown himself the GOAT, and he's also trying to show respect to those that paved the way before him. So me personally, that's another reason why I think that Jordan is the GOAT over LeBron, not just because of the accolades.
When I hear it, I cringe a little bit because, you know, it's a little bit embarrassing because no one knows. You know, I never had the chances once again to play against those guys. You know, prior to Michael Jordan.
About LeBron, but
yeah, they're gonna
mad more than anything.
They talk here. Charles Barkley talking about how LeBron quit on the team with the you know, he gave up on the team, and you could see it in his body language and the flopping. Now, we said all that. Look, I got my bias out of the way, right? So you know where I stand. All of you LeBron James.
He packed it in. I mean,
all you LeBron James fans, right? You can be like, Marcus just hating. Now, here we go, right? From a spiritual perspective, something just always been off with this dude to me, all right? So you see here, because it's just weird. It looks like he's done.
Is the 50-point games, the triple doubles. You know, he's raised the bar to where we expect him to come out and to control the game from beginning to end. And today,
it looked like he's doing the battle.
He packed it in.
Ron, we know you was at them Diddy parties, nigga. We know you was there. We know you was at them Diddy parties.
Bottles of the most premium wine. You know what I'm saying? Together and talk the most shit.
Please.
You know, we got shit to talk.
He just, I don't know. He probably drinking right here. But when I look at LeBron, you know what I'm saying? Like I said in the beginning, something just seems off. Like he's not. It's like almost like he's playing a show, if that makes sense. Now I know he grew up young, cameras on him, presses on him, but it doesn't feel authentic.
Please. You know.
Okay. We need more room.
So to have those cameras and know what he was doing, it's going to give him the ups on everybody who came to that party. Even your favorite basketball player. Ain't no party like a Diddy party. We know who said that. He may be one of the persons got caught up in the Diddy party.
LeBron said that, but yeah, you might be right. You know, it sounds like he had all them hidden cameras to use it against people.
That was said in the indictment. Man, come on, that little dude explosive.
All right, so you see that, right? The Diddy stuff, you know, who you're around, who you're friends with, who you're company with. It's strange, it's odd. The hand signals, we could argue all day, you know, whatever, but you can't argue about the hand signals. You can't really argue if you're a Christian from the perspective, you know, Lecrae and them was at the Diddy party. Some ain't right with that. And then remember, God gave me that warning about for Diddy, and that was like 3 years ago, and it went super viral because it came true. You know what I'm saying? I'm just telling you what I feel. Something ain't right. Something is off. And that's why at the beginning of this video, I gave the introduction about the money and how much, you know, you're messing with billions and billions of dollars in the NBA. And so we know that ratings are down. We know that, you know, you lose money like that. So the NBA is not in a better place than when Jordan left the game. It's in a worse place. And so all of these investors, right, this is a lot of money that we're talking about. If in this next clip, this is Kevin Garnett saying that LeBron James is using steroids, and the big media never covered it. They never questioned it. Now, I know they did do a little bit. They talked about the investigation that happened. I believe it was with his trainer, and I believe that it was they were sending the stuff to his wife's name to his house. We'll see that in a minute. But what Mace alluded to at the beginning of the video, he said it's strange that you have a UFC fighter that's well known, and then you have Kevin Garnett from the NBA, not like just some dude off the bench. Kevin Garnett, Hall of Fame Kevin Garnett, NBA champion Kevin Garnett, boldly just making this claim. I haven't heard anything about him getting sued, right? You would think if somebody of Kevin Garnett's stature opens his mouth to say LeBron James is on Balco, he's on steroids, that man, he would get taken to court for defamation. Like, if it's not true, we're going to silence you. We're going to stop you from saying that. And then another UFC fighter said the same thing. And then there was an actual investigation. Now, this is why we bring up the money thing with the NBA being worth billions and billions of dollars. If this is the face of the NBA and we need somebody to replace Jordan, and the NBA is not in a better place than it was when Jordan was there, and Kobe and Shaq and Tim Duncan and the Spurs, right? Some people feel like a Lance Armstrong thing might kind of happen. Like, we ain't going to say nothing now because it's not going to make us look good. If we say this man been on the roids, this whole time, right? That's going to mess up with the legitimacy of the league. So I think it's suspect, but let's play it. I just think it's suspicious. It don't feel right to me.
He is, but you seen his dad? His dad on that Balco. He on that new juice. That slide.
It does raise an eyebrow that he gets better as everyone gets worse. I'll leave it at that.
This season, I've been saying since the beginning, given that fact, I don't care how you take care of your body, or rather, one of the ways you take care of your body.
LeBron James' wife and 2 associates named in federal PED investigation story that just recently came out, and it's got a lot of people saying, is LeBron doing GH?
If the world understood what LeBron did, like other basketball players will hear what LeBron does and go, well, yeah, but that doesn't matter, right? It's like a baseball player. You're hitting a stick out of the way. It doesn't matter. It's like, no. If you knew what these performance enhancers did, then you would know why it does matter.
What do you think he's
there's
doing?
only one. We have the same drug guy, if you will. I know exactly what he's doing. But
ESPN went through 1,400 pages of unredacted federal documents from a DEA investigation of a performance-enhancing drug operation that took place a decade ago in and around Miami. You remember, was a prominent trainer of athletes, David Alexander, who had trained LeBron James and was partners in a Miami business venture with LeBron's wife, Savannah. Of LeBron's inner circle, his businessman.
LeBron James, Michael Jordan, GOAT debate is about to blow up in LeBron James's face. Kevin Garnett has played the steroid card. We're going to talk about it today.
Another story is just a matter if we want to cover that story. The Balco story, allegedly. That's the story that we're not addressing. I think it's crazy that if somebody else's name was allegedly in that, everybody would be covering it. I think it's really, really a disservice to sports that we don't look into that and kind of try to share.
So once again, right, I want to bring this up, what we were talking about in the beginning. The NBA is worth billions of dollars. And recently they've been, losing views, losing ratings. And it's just strange that you have Kevin Garnett and this other UFC fighter saying this and people talking about it, but it's almost like he's protected. He's covered. Like they just don't address. You would think that somebody, even the Stephan A Smiths of the world, and that's why I think he was kind of warning LeBron, you know what I'm saying? But you would think somebody would be like, yo, Kevin Garnett said this? Why aren't we talking about this? But it never got brought up. They just swept it under the rug. It's suspect. Come on, let's be real. If it was anybody else in the league, if Kevin Garnett would have said Devin Booker was on steroid, it would have been all over ESPN. Who owns ESPN? Disney, right? So I'm talking, the money, all of that stuff. So it just don't feel right.
Or what we believe about that. If it comes out, not that it's true, but if it comes out that he was using enhancements, then how do we perceive all of this that we're talking about?
It's another clip.
What's done in the wash will always come out in the rinse. I've been waiting for this informational leak because I've been one of the few people that been saying this motherfucker uses PEDs. This motherfucker uses all types of performance enhancement drugs. And finally, it's all starting to leak out. And pay attention, as LeBron's career progressed, a lot of shit is gonna leak out about this man. A lot of shit. The man has cheated on his wife multiple times. This man has used PEDs. Y'all gonna see all that shit. If you don't think LeBron James has one of the great.
All right, so we're gonna skip through. You get the point of what he's saying, but
the second time
it was an actual news story, right? Like there was an investigation. I think allegedly, because I can't remember exactly. I think the drugs or whatever it was being shipped was in the wife's name or something like that, and the trainer. So you can look into that stuff for yourself. All right.
And he ain't the first person to do this. That's the thing. Is like,
let me interrupt myself real quick. Sean Sonnen said this stuff a long time ago about LeBron James. And I don't recall him getting a whole lot of pushback for saying that either.
He said we have the same drug guy. That was the accusation that the UFC fighter made.
The same way the league passed over Kobe and showed how expendable he was, they gonna do the same to LeBron James when it's all said and done. Once the league done found a new face whenever LeBron James retired, they gonna let him rock out for a little minute, but then he gonna get Lance Armstrong.
The talk is getting louder since the Tristan Thompson suspension. So it only got louder. And I'm surprised KG said it, considering he's been talking big about LeBron this whole time, or at least recently. To get
oblivious and this.
Oh yeah, let's go to
We're
some
not-
more stuff right here.
KG said it, considering he's been talking big about LeBron this whole time, or at least recently, to get in the good graces and shit. But yeah, there's gonna reach a point where that shit is out there. Like, I mean, it's already out there, but like, out.
What we're saying.
So now we're gonna conclude this video with getting into this stuff that I'm talking about. So the flopping, right, comes across as a manipulative way to play the game, right? You acting like you get hit, you didn't really get hit. The controlling the narrative, right? So what were the narratives around him, right? When Stephan A Smith says he's a liar and all that kind of stuff, right? Oh, you joined super teams. Oh, he's getting the coaches fired. Oh, he's teaming up with all these players. And as these narratives started coming out, they started changing it, right? Oh, LeBron has no clue about this Luka trade, right? And then we saw the clip. We're going to play it again so you can see it, where that was not true. It's almost like, what irritates me about LeBron is they try to play like we're dumb, right? Oh, he had nothing to do with the coach getting fired. Stop it, right? So, but why would he do that? Because he doesn't want that to be the narrative, that he got the coach fired, or that he's trading players, or, you know, he got rid of AD because he wanted to play with Luka. Because the narrative, the reason why he wouldn't want that to come out is the narrative is, well, you had to go play with D Wade. Then you had to team up with Kyrie. You had to team up with this one. You had to do with that, you know, the whole super team thing. So he's trying to control the narrative because he wants the narrative to be that I'm the GOAT. And then even you have people in the sports media, his biggest defenders. We're not sure about Shannon Sharp, but what's that guy's name? Nick Wright. He's a Clutch agent. He's part of LeBron and them's Clutch Sports. You know, he's part of that. So I don't know. This man's pretty much getting paid on TV to say, allegedly, LeBron is the GOAT, right? Because it's like they try to play like we're dumb. And so Stephan A. Smith has been going off today. And it almost feels like he's, from when I listen to what Stephan A. is saying, is like, hey, I could say some things, you know, but I'm not gonna say it. You know, like Stephan A. knows more than what he's letting on. But let's play it.
We're not going to let LeBron James and his camp get away with that. We're not blaming him.
And if you didn't hear me say it in the beginning, the Luka trade was crazy. It just made no sense, because let's go back to it. The NBA is worth so much money, right? And then the ratings are down. You know, you're losing money. Think about the investors. All right, 1970, it was worth $32 million, the NBA, right? Then the 1980s, the 1990s, $400 million, 23 teams. 1990 to 2000, significant growth. 23 teams went from 400 million in 1984 to the NBA's worth 138 billion today. So if you put those numbers in, around the time that Jordan came in, the league went from 32 million to 400 million. And if you converted that money to today's value, it would be from 244 million to 1.5 billion. All right, average NBA franchise team value, 4.66 billion. The most valuable team is the Golden State Warriors at 9.4. Second most valuable is the New York Knicks at 7.5. Third most valuable is the Los Angeles Lakers at 7 billion. Chicago Bulls coming at 5. So what I'm saying is there's a lot of money being involved. And if you're saying he's on steroids, if you're saying that the ratings are going down, he's the face of the NBA, and it's just suspicious that we don't cover it. Nobody wants to bring in Kevin Garnett and hold him accountable for what he said for an interview. Like, hey, KG, right? It's just suspicious. And I think the reason I keep showing y'all the money is I think that's why. And so when that Luka trade happened, think about it. He just went to the NBA Finals. And out of every team they could have traded into, you trade him to LeBron with the Lakers, the face of the NBA, even though it's questionable. You know, Curry got 4 rings. I don't. They say, here's my bias coming out. This is nothing spiritual about this. This is just basketball talk, real quick. All right. They say LeBron is dominant when That I think he's disqualified from being in the GOAT conversation just because the series with Dallas. That series was so horrible. Like who was it? JJ Barrera that was guarding him and some other little guy. Like Jordan has never had a playoff performance or an NBA Finals performance like this. Never seen a Game 7, 6 for 6, 2 3-peats. I asked, when did LeBron pass Kobe? Kobe got more rings. And don't say, oh, well, he was with Shaq. Well, LeBron should have had more when he was with D Wade. He shouldn't have lost to Dallas. You can't penalize. This is just me. Like I said, this ain't spiritual. This is just me talking basketball real quick. I like sports, all right? You can't penalize Kobe and say, well, Kobe had Shaq, for 2 of them, right? But then it's like, well, LeBron had D Wade, he had Bosh, he had Kevin Love, he had Kyrie Irving. Who else has he teamed up? And of course, he wants the narrative to be, I had nothing to do with the Luka trade, right? Because he doesn't want it to be said like, oh, yes, I asked Luka to come play with me, because he wants to be the GOAT. He even went and did a Space Jam 2, guys, trying so hard to be like Mike. But I asked you, like, when did he pass Kobe? Kobe, I think Kobe's better. Tim Duncan got 5 rings. And then when did LeBron dominate? He was in the Eastern Conference, which was super weak. The whole time, the Western Conference was way stronger. So it's like, oh yeah, he went to the NBA Finals multiple times. But when did he really dominate? He's never even had a 3-peat, even when he had a super team. He couldn't 3-peat when it was him, D Wade, Bosh, and who was that? Ray Allen. I don't know, guys, but let's play it. You're gonna see now. What we're getting ready to get in here is just evidence that LeBron be capping and he be lying.
For the firing. What we're saying is you can't be as great as you proclaim to be, as we know you are in today's NBA game, and be completely innocent and oblivious and distant, having nothing to do with the firing of yet another coach. That is impossible. That's all we're saying. But having said all of that, while acknowledging that that's a reality that he has to live with, there's a bigger narrative to touch on. And that is the fact that LeBron James has brought these debates on himself, Shannon, because of this insatiable appetite he has to control narratives. It's what he does. Nobody, I repeat, nobody, no star in the history of sports has gone about the business of methodically, systematically, continuously trying to control the narrative. And I have proof. That podcast that him and JJ Redick have, let me be the first to say, it's a great podcast. You want to learn some basketball.
Bro, that podcast was crazy. Like, he trying to act like, who was the coach? Was it Darvin Ham? And he was going on there with JJ Redick talking basketball and then act like he ain't have nothing to do with JJ Redick getting the job. They want to act like he had nothing to do with him getting his son on the Lakers. Stop it. That's what be killing me, y'all. Like, they play in our face like we're dumb. This man was sitting with JJ Redick talking about basketball and, the intellectual side of it and praising JJ Redick, and then Ham got fired. Like, I didn't have nothing to do with the coach getting fired. I didn't have nothing to do with Bronny James. Look, and it's cool. Like, I'm not here to just, LeBron is a good player. I don't really have an issue with him helping his kid get in the league. Nepotism happens in a lot of different places, but just be real. This is what I'm talking about, where LeBron comes across as fake. Like, oh, I didn't get the coaches fired. I didn't have nothing to do with that. I wasn't trying to get my sons on the late. Stop it, bro. Stop it. Like, we're not dumb.
You listen to them brothers. I ain't throwing no shade on them. I love JJ and the job he's doing. I appreciate LeBron, his greatness, and his cerebral approach, educating us about the game of basketball. But why would you choose to do that in your 21st season, approaching age 40? Because you know why? You want to make sure that you're the guy that gets to put your fingerprints on narratives, because you have proven throughout the years that you care about that.
You heard what Stephen A. Smith had to say. Let me tell you something, ladies.
And too, Bron is my guy, but Bron did put some extra heat on Bronny.
Yeah.
When Bron put out that tweet about him, he better than these cats in the NBA.
That was my thing.
He started the media. They checked that. They was like, oh, okay,
right.
And so they wait. Here's the thing: Bronny needs criticism.
Yes.
We all need some form of criticism.
Yeah.
I think when it came from the way Stephen A. came, he was talking about LeBron as a father, but he was talking about Bronny at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It felt personal.
Yeah.
But don't the truth matter? Because there's one person in this ordeal that's telling the truth, and it's me. I don't lie to y'all. His ass lies a lot.
He does.
And there's a lot of shady stuff that he does. And one of the things is his passive aggressiveness.
This guy's funny. He's always in my comment section trolling. He said, put this up. Black families forever. Listen, brother, it's nothing wrong with having a healthy black family. But would you get upset if somebody said white families forever, Asian families forever, Hispanic families forever? I'm not anti-black, right? How it's weird how people will make it like, oh, you don't like black people because you don't like LeBron. I love Jordan. I love Kobe. Oh, you just hating. If I was gonna hate on anybody, it would be Jordan. He's more successful. Kobe, more successful. More accolade, but I ain't gonna get on. I'm just messing with that guy right there.
And the two-facedness and smile in your face and dig you behind the back. I happen to know that about him. Which is why
we got to run that back. We got to run that back.
His ass lies a lot. And there's a lot of shady stuff that he does.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is his passive aggressiveness. And the two-facedness and smile in your face and dig you behind the back.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to know that about him, which is why I don't like him. And he don't like me. But it doesn't stop me from being fair and calling it like I see it. We ain't exchanging Christmas gifts. We ain't having Thanksgiving dinner together. What you bring your son up into there for? What you bring your family up in there before? You're going to go on Pat McAfee show, talk about you going to protect your house. What you talking about? Your son ain't at the house. He's at crypto.com arena. We ain't covering him in Brentwood. We covering him in downtown LA at the crypto.com arena. Where you put him.
Got a point.
They probably noticed that and they wanted, Luka.
I'm going to play some clips that show Stephen A. ain't lying, that LeBron be lying.
To feel better, to go into a new place where you have somebody that's been a teammate also during Benny Smith. He's been a teammate of him, and then Max Kleber, he's been injured, so on really talking about him. I think the dynamic of that really helped, and also Keith played there. So the Lakers really wanted him to come. Brian asked for him to come, so it was like the dynamic once I said.
So Marcus Morris Sr., one of the Morris twins, was on Yahoo Sports, and he confirmed that LeBron knew about LeBron greenlighted the Luka trade, and they tried to make it seem like he didn't know. And like I said before, y'all be wondering why people don't like LeBron, disingenuous. And anytime, you got the establishment behind.
Notice a lot of people who are not LeBron fans, they use the same words. It's like something real fake about him.
Rightfully so, but he's always passing blame on his teammates. It's never his fault, it's teammates' fault. It's never the coach's fault, it's his fault. No accountability.
All right, we almost there. We almost done.
Marcus Morris recently said that LeBron asked for his brother Markieff to be included in the trade for Luka. How long before the trade happened then do we think LeBron knew about it?
Yeah, this
'Cause
doesn't
I
look
thought-
good. This doesn't look good.
This is amazing.
But listen, I know it was the most secret trade of all time, and no one knew. I've never bought that. Anthony Davis never bought that, and he was in the trade. So I think certain people definitely knew. I guess we'll never know, but the fact that Marcus Morris is saying this.
Remember what I said, because people are coming in and out. All of the money, viewership is down, right? You got, this is worth billions of dollars, 138 billion today. You got teams worth 9 billion, 7 billion, 5 billion, a couple of them worth 5 billion. So you got to think, hey, we got to do something. we got to do something. We got to protect our assets. Remember, the love of money is the root of all evil. We'll cover up some stuff. We'll ignore some stuff. We won't allow. Remember, ESPN is owned by Disney. We're not going to say certain things, bring certain things up. We're not going to investigate certain things because of the money, right? This is the face of the NBA. So let's send them a stimulus package. Same thing they did when they suspended Draymond.
I believe him. You know what I mean? Like,
why would he make this up?
He wouldn't just throw this out there for no reason. So
There was a text.
when you
thread.
have the clout and the respect
that
and the resume, LeBron James, he should know about every trade. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Why wouldn't he? Yeah, like,
Then why do we lie about?
If LeBron don't know about the trade, if LeBron don't know when the coach is getting fired, because he says, I don't know, I had nothing to do with the coach getting fired. I had nothing to do with the trade. Then obviously you ain't the GOAT. Best believe they're going to run it by Michael Jordan. Best believe, you know what I'm saying, that they're going to ask. Now, of course, they didn't agree. We know about some of the beef that happened there. You know what I'm saying? But to act like you just don't know, stop it, bro. And it's just suspicious. Like I said, Luka, they just went to the NBA Finals.
Thanks, Luke.
Shout out all my tight ends out there, man.
I hear. Now, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to end the video right here, but here is a couple of clips back to back of LeBron just clearly capping, like clearly lying. Like, so we talked about the spiritual stuff, the devil signals, the Diddy parties, you know, something's just off, you know what I'm saying? And I talk about, you even see the way he's not authentic, even in his game with the flopping and all that stuff, a lot of manipulation. We see a lot of manipulation with the narratives. And then when he be going on camera and doing stuff like that, or when he's reading a book and it's always on the first page for the camera, it's like, it's just fake. Now watch, right here, he's reading off a computer and he's going to try to act like he's not.
Beautiful thing, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, TJ Hawkinson. That's just to name a few.
So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm X along with Alex Haley. I don't know how far you are into the book, but what's your biggest takeaway so far?
I kind of just started a couple of days ago. Read and a lot of notes over the years. It's my first time actually reading this from start to finish. Very smart man. Very, very, very smart man. Basically, his words in the 60s and what was going on is actually what's going on today still. It's unbelievable.
I had one coach, and he used to say, "Put yourself in situations where you're not comfortable.
Oh
Play
yeah,
outside
that's my
of your
favorite
comfort
saying.
zone."
That's my favorite saying.
Yeah. So you're holding the autobiography of Malcolm.
I seen the whole game. I was at home watching the game, and you know, I said he was going to, before the game even started. When I seen, I said he was probably going to score 70 tonight. I don't know what made me say that, and my friends was with me, and they was like, okay. So when he got to like 70, I was like, well, he might as well go for 80 now. So I mean, I'm a fan of the game, and to see that performance was unbelievable.
I've been listening to those guys for so long. I was listening to those guys when my first year with the Heat in 2010. And you can ask any one of my teammates back then, had no idea who the Migos was. They were like cursing me out when I would play it throughout the weight room or play it throughout the locker room. I was like, I'm telling you, these guys are next. I'm letting you know right now these days, like, turn this off. I don't want to hear this. And just fast forward, I mean, just knowing, take off personally and send my condolences to Quavo and the family and the whole QC family and everybody.
You own 2% of Liverpool. How does that come about?
I read about the franchise and how amazing it is, and I actually made a trip over, to Liverpool as well and see all the sights and the arena and everything. So it was pretty unique.
Yeah, Crouchy is actually a Liverpool legend. He used to play there. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I knew that. I didn't get an opportunity to see him play when he was with
Stop it, bro. Stop it.
The club, but I definitely knew that.
The current captain, Jordan Henderson, just scored his first goal for England the other day. It was amazing to see. You a fan of his?
No, absolutely. And I saw a clip of that too. I didn't get an opportunity to actually see the game live, but I saw that he was.
So look, the bottom line is, I went over a lot of different stuff there. I do believe that the money has something to do with it. Bare minimum, right? We can have different opinions, but you can't argue about the hand signals, right? You can't argue about the Diddy party stuff, right? It's definitely suspicious. And then the money, the NBA's worth all of this money. We see that the ratings are down. There's just a lot of stuff. People would do a lot of crazy things, for the money. And then we look at his, political views and stuff. I'm clearly, against his political views, but I just showed you like in real time, not to be all super spiritual, like there's a lot of just inauthentic stuff there. And it seems like a show, like a puppet master. He wants to control the narrative. He doesn't want to be seen as this guy that's, teaming up with all these players, getting his coach fired. And so you just through his just who he is, you just see manipulation, 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 manipulation. All right. And like I said, my personal bias, we got that out of the way at the beginning of the video. Jordan is the GOAT. I mean, from just the eye test, Jordan is better than LeBron, but he did more in less time. He's like the definition of dominance, 2 3-peats. He quit the NBA, came back, dominated. Championships, he has 6. LeBron has 4. Finals MVP, he has 6. LeBron has 4. NBA MVP, he has 5. LeBron has 4. All NBA first team, he has 10. LeBron has 13. Obviously, that longevity. All NBA defense first team, he has 9. LeBron has 5. NBA scoring titles, he has 10. LeBron has 1. Defensive player of the year, he has 1. LeBron has 0. And then if you just look at different videos on accolades, it's like it's not even a competition. And it's just like, why are you guys trying to force it? And why are you so offended and mad that, you're ranked? Most people rank you number 2 or number 3. That's not bad. But it's like, no, he has to be. I don't like that kind of stuff. It's kind of weird. So this stuff with Stephen A. Smith, I think that something more is going to come out of it. And I think a lot of people, because of the money, they probably, trying to protect LeBron, cover LeBron. And you can see that, there's people out there that they do feel some type of way or they've seen certain things, but it's clear nobody, think about it. When I'm just, this is the best example I could use. When Kevin Garnett said that LeBron was on steroids, why has no one in the media, even the ones that people say, man, they hate LeBron, nobody has went to interview the UFC fighter. Nobody has went to interview Kevin Garnett and like hold him accountable. And we haven't seen any paperwork where he got sued. So I don't know if it's going to be like a Lance Armstrong, what's his name? Is it Armstrong, the biker who came out later? And maybe the NBA is just trying to protect their money. I don't know. But when I look at LeBron, it's just something's off. Obviously with his political views, obviously with those, demonic hand signals. But I don't know, man. I don't get into that weird, like, he's a robot type, MK Ultra kind of stuff. But it just seems something. I've seen videos where people like he's a lizard man and, all kinds of crazy stuff. He's on the Mount Rushmore of basketball. He's a good basketball player, but I don't know, man. I would not be surprised if some serious stuff came out. I've seen, other rumors about different things that I'm not going to talk about. But at the end of the day, pray for him, pray for his soul, just like Diddy with anybody else. You know what I'm saying? They're still human beings. We could feel what we feel. We could think what we think, but hell is real. And we want LeBron James. We want Michael Jordan, we want Jay-Z, we want Beyonce, we want all these people to repent, because if they don't, their soul's going to go to hell, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know it's probably rare that somebody watched the video and got all the information from the beginning to the end, but we'll see. The most importantly thing is, pray for LeBron, pray for his family, and pray for everybody, man. It's not God's will that anybody should perish. www.marcusrogersministries.org if you want to support what we're doing here in Chicago. Love you guys. God bless. I'm going to be back in a little bit to talk about some other things that are going on. You said Lakers winning the chip. All right, we're going to see. I mean, if they win, I think it's rigged, but we'll see.